In this video, I want to give you three things, the top three things that you need to look for when hiring your first team member, okay? And before we get into the three things, if you haven't liked this channel, if you haven't liked this video or followed this page, then please do so. That would really help me out, and I'll be able to keep giving you awesome stuff that hopefully really helps you. So what are the three things? Well, before I tell you what they are, I want to think back to the time when I hired my first team member. Now, it's quite a scary thing to do, right? You're really, taking that position of being sort of your own, music teacher and owning everything and having complete freedom, and all the money that you bring in is yours. And now you're going to say, I'm going to commit to this other person. And this other person is going to give up time in their week, whether it's 5 hours or 40 hours. They're going to give up their time and they're going to come and work for you. And they expect to be paid. And you're going to commit to them and go, I'm going to pay you every week, and this is how much you're going to get. It's quite a daunting thing, and that's why so many people never take that first step. And a lot of people don't take that step just because it's scary, but they also don't take that step because they think that no one else will be able to do anything as good as they do it, right? And so they just hoard it all to themselves, and they never grow past just owning a job into owning a business. So I want to give you 3 tips of the 3 things that you need to make sure your first team member has. And of course, that applies to every team member after this, but it's a bit of a framework that you can think through if you're about to take that plunge for that first person. And, do your best to make sure you don't get it wrong. Okay, so there are 3 C's, okay? So the first C is competency. So this person needs to be competent in whatever you are asking them to do. Maybe you're a piano teacher and you need another piano teacher. So competency is going to take into account things like, do they actually know how to teach? Do they actually know how to play the piano at the right level? In terms of the students they'll be given, do they know how to communicate ideas carefully and in ladder concepts and scaffold exercises so that students are not being thrown in the deep end or overwhelmed? Do they actually have the competency to deliver on what you're going to ask them to do? Now, that could apply to an administrative person as well. Do they have the competency in using the phone, taking inquiries? Do they have the competency in writing emails and updating systems and, tracking communications? That's pretty much it. Do they have the competency for the job you are asking them to do? Now, one of the things you need to make sure that you do in order to test this is you need to have a really, really clear job description. What is it exactly that you want this person to do? And when you look at all those things they're doing, well, now what are the competencies that they need to have in order to do those things? So that is the first C. Is the person competent? Do they have the competency to do the job that you are hiring them to do? Second C. Second C is character, okay? This is a big one. And any of these 3 C's, if you miss one, you're in so much trouble. It's going to be so many headaches. And so if you're interviewing someone and they've got 2 C's but they don't have the third C, don't hire them. Don't hire them. There's plenty more fish in the sea. Work a bit harder to find someone else, because any one of these missing, it's going to be a nightmare, okay? So second C, character, okay? You're looking for that person that is going to be humble, right? You want someone that's going to be teachable. They're going to listen to what you actually say. In the interview, you're looking for someone that doesn't talk over you and try and steer the interview. You're looking for the wow factor. Do they have that character of like, wow, I want to be part of what you're doing? Or are they just sort of like, being a bit arrogant, like, I would be a blessing to your business, and that sort of attitude. Character also is really going to tap into things like trust. Do you think this person, you can actually trust them? Do you think that they're like honest? Do you think they're going to be reliable? Did they show up to the interview 10 minutes late, or were they 10 minutes early? What has been their general tone over the emails and over the phone as you've interviewed them? You're also going to check references. How did they perform in their last job? Were they on time every day? Did they meet their targets? What did the boss think of them? Would the boss ever hire them again? These are some of the things you're going to ask both them and their previous employers to sorry, slurring my words there, to check or to test whether they really have the character that you need, because you just don't want the person with the wrong character. And remember, often people perform well in interviews and then you get to know them, 4 or 5 weeks in, you realize, oh my goodness, this person was just a great actor and they fooled me. So make sure you test for character. Third C. All right, this one is chemistry, okay? Now, this is a tricky one, and you have to make sure that it never comes across or never is actually sort of discriminating against anyone. Now, the reason I say this is for my school, I wanted young, cool, hip sort of 20-year-olds. That was my target. That's who I was when I started. Now I'm a lame 35-year-old, but I just hire lots of younger people who are cooler than me. And that was just the image I was going for. Now, that's one aspect of chemistry. For our vision, our culture, we want to be young and cool and hip. But I can't advertise and say 40-year-olds don't apply. That would be wrong, right? And we've actually hired some people who are in those ages and it's all worked out fine. But the reason I'm telling you this little snippet is because you want to have some idea of what is the chemistry that you want in your school. And what type of person are you looking for? Because there are people who have the right character and they have the right competency, but they're just a little bit weird. Let's be honest, okay? They're a little bit weird. You don't really want to leave them in a room with the kids. They're just... It could be anything, and this kind of sucks to say it, but you have to kind of define pretty early some of the things that you would rule people out for. So I'll give you an example. We had a guy that was amazing, had all the other stuff, but he just told dad jokes all the time, and no one else wanted to work with him, because he was annoying and the chemistry just wasn't there. But he was humble, he had all the character that we wanted, he was competent, he could do stuff, but the chemistry wasn't there and people didn't want to work with him. So there we go, there's the 3 C's: competency, character, and chemistry. You're looking for all those 3 things as you interview someone, as you check the references, and ideally as you work with them in the first few weeks. You're trying to look for those things, and if you're spotting red flags, you need to ask yourself really honestly, will this get worse? Will it improve? Is it teachable to teach them out of it? Or is this something I've hired wrong for? And is there a way to get out of it and without too much damage? And that's one of the best bits of advice I can give you. But just know that you are going to make some mistakes. And because if you hire one bad person, doesn't mean that you should never hire anyone again. You just got the wrong person. You need to just hire a little bit better and a bit more thorough next time. So make sure you look for the 3 C's. And in the comments below, if you've hired someone before, please let us know what would you add to those 3 C's. Because there's other things, right? What are some of the things that you look for when you interview people and when you're hiring people for different positions, whether it be music teachers or administrative support staff? What are the things that you look for and are absolute deal breakers if they don't have? Look forward to reading your comments and seeing what your guys' tips are.